Chapter 1. As Shen Wang opened his eyes, he was greeted by the sight of a modern crystal chandelier. Lying in bed, the surroundings felt eerily familiar, almost making him believe he had entered some strange illusion. Faint laughter and conversation drifted in from outside the room, a scene both intimately familiar and strangely alien. Shen Wang's mind felt numb, and it took him a moment to remember that this familiar yet strange place was his nominal home. But all of this belonged to his past life. Thinking back on these memories, Shen Wang had long since let go of his initial resentment and indignation. Shaking his head slightly, he slowly opened the door of his room and saw a warm and harmonious family scene. A steady and dependable father, a beautiful and gentle mother, and a young, spirited, and dashing son sat at the dining table, the atmosphere brimming with harmony, each face wearing a radiant smile. But those smiles vanished the moment they saw Shen Wang. The light and cheerful atmosphere instantly froze. They all turned to look at Shen Wang in unison, as if he was an intruder or, more precisely, an enemy. The air became so tense it was suffocating. His father's tone was impatient. "Why have you come out?" As if Shen Wang stepping out of his room was an unforgivable act. "I'm hungry," Shen Wang said, somewhat dazedly, observing the scene. Without waiting for a response, he walked over and sat down, at another set of cutlery and asked the kitchen to cook a few more dishes. "Shen Wang," his mother exclaimed with a furrowed brow, "this is the Tang household. Such rudeness, do you think you're still fooling around in the slums?" Not long after bringing Shen Wang back, both Mr. and Mrs. Tang regretted their decision. They never imagined that, with their excellent genes, they could have a child who turned out to be so useless. With a low educational background and a poor temperament, since returning to the Tang family, Shen Wang hadn't tried to bond with his parents. Instead, he got along well with the servants, and most importantly, he had no talent for cultivation. To the Tang family, Shen Wang was a complete waste. Hearing Mrs. Tang's undisguised disdain and contempt, Shen Wang looked up at the elegantly dressed woman and raised an eyebrow. "Don't I even have the right to sit at the table and eat in my own home? Mrs. Tang, if you despise me so much, why bother bringing me back?" Shen Wang genuinely found it strange, but his words changed the expressions of everyone present. Mr. Tang glanced at Mrs. Tang and said, "We don't look down on you. It's your behavior and manners that are too impolite. It's one thing at home, but outside, how do you expect others to view our Tang family?" Under Mr. Tang's gaze, Mrs. Tang discreetly wiped her mouth with a napkin. "It's not that I look down on you, it's that you are too self-deprecating. If you don't respect yourself, who will?" In just a few words, they shifted the blame back onto Shen Wang. He marveled at their hypocrisy. "I've seen hypocritical people, but never someone as hypocritical and face-saving as you. You clearly feel I've embarrassed you, yet you find a noble excuse to suppress me. Is this the etiquette of your esteemed family? Then, I really don't understand such etiquette." Shen Wang tore off the facade of his biological parents, causing a change in the expressions of Mr. and Mrs. Tang, and the false young master, Tang Jiu, who all showed restrained displeasure. Mr. Tang was most dissatisfied. "I've said it before, we don't look down on you, nor are we suppressing you. Shen Wang, don't make false accusations and disrespect your elders." "Ah, right. You certainly don't look down on me," Shen Wang responded noncommittally. "You just haven't announced my existence to the public. You just didn't let me sleep in the master bedroom on the 3rd floor, nor even in a guest room on the 2nd floor, but had me sleep in a servant's room on the 1st floor. You just didn't let me sit at the table for meals, but had me eat with the servants, that's all." Shen Wang, noticing the beaming smile of Tang's mother, offered a friendly smile in return, yet his smile seemed more like a provocation in her eyes. At this moment, Tang's mother deeply regretted agreeing to bring Shen Wang back to the Tang family. Theoretically, Shen Wang was a part of her flesh and blood. Yet, seeing her own child who was always defiant and unruly, compared to the obedient and outstanding Tang Jiu, she saw no issue with her favoritism. Any set of parents would have their preferences. A child with a bit of self-awareness, when faced with someone as outstanding as Tang Jiu, would naturally feel ashamed and give up any absurd hopes. But Shen Wang, oblivious to his status, dared to compete for attention and sought the same treatment as Tang Jiu. Leaning back in his chair, Shen Wang couldn't help but find the situation amusing. Having grown up in an orphanage and struggling on his own since he was older, Shen Wang was finally recognized by the Tang family at the age of 22 as their lost wealthy heir. As the unfortunate real heir, with no parents and no warmth of a family, Shen Wang did harbor some expectations towards his newfound parents. To his surprise, upon being brought back to the Tang family, the first thing his birth mother said to him was, "You and Tang Jiu are both my children. You must get along well. Don't harbor resentment just because he has taken the position that should have been yours." The second thing Tang's mother told him was, "You've been wandering outside for too long and picked up bad habits. Change them quickly and don't disgrace the Tang family." In just 1 month, any faint hope Shen Wang had harbored was thoroughly extinguished. Tang's mother, with her every move exuding elegance and a pair of peach blossom eyes emitting a cold indifference, "We have not neglected your basic needs. Your life now is 1,000 times better than when you were wandering. You don't even have the grace to be thankful." Unsure if it was due to the subtlety expected of a wealthy lady or realizing her words were too harsh, she swallowed the words, "Ungrateful wretch." Seeing Tang's mother's remarks becoming increasingly excessive, Tang's father spoke up unhurriedly, "All right, that's enough. Butler, add another set of utensils for him." Tang's mother frowned slightly, but her expression softened slightly when her gaze shifted to Tang Jiu. Tang Jiu offered a subtle smile, discreetly soothing his irritated mother. He carried himself with pride and politeness, barely acknowledging Shen Wang, the true heir. Shen Wang leaned back lazily in his chair. "I'll just use chopsticks, no need for a knife and fork. Also, prepare some extra dishes for me. The Tang family is wealthy, you won't mind providing a little extra food and drink, right?" As Shen Wang uttered these words, it seemed as though not feeding him would be akin to mistreatment. The 3 members of the Tang family all darkened their expressions, choosing not to retort. While waiting for the meal, the other 3 at the table resumed their harmonious facade of filial love and parental affection, but this atmosphere unmistakably excluded Shen Wang. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't blend in. Shen Wang slowly closed his eyes, sorting through his memories, unknown to others that he had accidentally traveled to the cultivation world and then returned. After coming back from the cultivation world, he had additional memories, or rather, a story in his mind. The protagonist of this story was Tang Jiu, the impostor who had stolen his identity. In this mystical world, the Tang family, superficially a noble household, was actually involved in mysticism, and Tang Jiu was the rare genius capable of cultivation. He progressed rapidly, winning the hearts of countless women, and eventually became a grandmaster. Shen Wang was merely the first sacrificial character in the beginning of this story. Although Tang Jiu was capable of cultivation, he couldn't accept the family's legacy. It was only after the true and false heir incident was revealed that everyone understood it was because he wasn't a real member of the Tang family. To secure the family's secret techniques, Tang Jiu persuaded his adoptive parents, who had no affection for Shen Wang, to conduct a blood exchange. After the exchange, Tang Jiu's cultivation soared, gaining the coveted family legacy. From then on, his path was smooth and unobstructed. Shen Wang, however, died in the hospital from excessive blood loss, his death filled with resentment that haunted the Tang family. But as a powerful exorcist, Tang Jiu suppressed Shen Wang's vengeful spirit within the family's grounds. Since then, Shen Wang's resentment paradoxically nurtured the Tang family's fortune, binding him to them for generations, unable to transcend. Reflecting on his fate in the story, Shen Wang slowly opened his eyes. Tang Jiu covertly observed Shen Wang, frowning slightly whenever he saw Shen Wang's face, feeling discomfort. Shen Wang, combining the best features of both Tang parents, was even more outstanding. His sharp eyebrows and starry eyes, especially the peach blossom eyes inherited from Tang's mother, added a carefree charm. Even his lackadaisical demeanor was heart-fluttering. Standing beside his parents, anyone with eyes could see their blood connection. Fortunately for Tang Jiu, his parents only loved him, the child they raised. No matter how handsome or sun-like Shen Wang was, they remained unmoved. Most importantly, Tang Jiu pitied Shen Wang. He was a cultivator, Shen Wang was just an ordinary person who couldn't cultivate. They weren't from the same world. For an ant to challenge an elephant was merely a source of amusement. Tang Jiu never took Shen Wang seriously, his rivals were only the geniuses of the mystical world. The Tang family's servants were well trained, it didn't take long for Shen Wang's meal to be served at the dining table. The stir-fried lobster at the typhoon shelter was fragrant and golden crispy, the steamed yellow croaker was light and savory, tempting one's appetite, the king crab legs were neatly shelled and plated, their meat white and lustrous. Preparing such an elaborate Chinese meal in a short time truly showcased the exceptional skills of the Tang family's chefs. During his time in the cultivation world, Shen Wang was busy with cultivation, alchemy, and treasure hunting in secret realms. He couldn't even remember the last time he had properly enjoyed a meal. Probably since he practiced abstaining from grains, he hadn't relished the sensory pleasure that food provided. Now back in his own world, Shen Wang didn't want to bother with concerns about mundane food carrying impurities. He picked up his chopsticks and began to eat. He was truly famished, both physically and psychologically. Seeing his way of eating, Tang's father frowned again and said, "Eat slowly, no one's competing with you. Can't even use a fork and knife, only chopsticks. What will people think? Find time to learn dining etiquette." Tang's mother also criticized indifferently from the side. Immersed in his meal, Shen Wang couldn't care less about arguing with them and affecting his appetite. He quickly finished all the dishes, then asked the butler for 2 more bowls of rice. After contentedly eating 2 bowls of plain white rice, he put down his chopsticks, looking thoroughly satisfied. The rice at the Tang family was of the highest quality, each grain distinct, richly aromatic, and sweet aftertaste. Shen Wang was very pleased. What kind of behavior is this? Tang's mother felt like Shen Wang was deliberately provoking her, her face turning pale. "If outsiders see you eating like this, they'll think we're mistreating you in the Tang family. Who made me a wild child raised without a mother?" Having finished his meal and understanding the current situation, Shen Wang smirked and said, "Mr. Tang, let's make a deal." Tang's father looked at him. "I see you aren't exactly keen on having me as a son. How about this, give me 5 million and from here on, we'll have nothing to do with each other. What do you think?" Shen Wang said nonchalantly. His words took everyone by surprise. For the Tang family, 5 million wasn't a significant sum. But was Shen Wang really ready to leave the Tang family for a mere 5 million? Clearly a slum kid, accustomed to poverty. He thinks 5 million is a huge amount, utterly oblivious to the wealth and opportunities he could have if he stayed with the Tang family. Tang Jiu lowered his head, his disdain for Shen Wang deepening. "You'd prefer 5 million over staying with the Tang family?" Tang's father looked at Shen Wang, his expression unreadable, betraying neither shock nor anger. Chapter 2. Shen Wang sneered lightly, "Why should I stay in the Tang family? To be a thorn in your side." Even without knowing the original plot, being so blatantly rejected and scorned by his newfound biological parents was reason enough for Shen Wang to plan his escape. Knowing the actual story, any hesitation would be disrespecting his own life. Shen Wang feared death, he wasn't ready to die. 5 million, I'll give it to you." A myriad of thoughts flashed through Tang's mother's mind, one prevailing decisively. She suddenly spoke up, "Once you leave the Tang family, you mustn't tell anyone about your relation to us, nor use the Tang name for your own benefit. Just 5 million for peace of mind." Tang's mother preferred her meticulously raised child, who was perfect in every way, over this so-called biological son. As long as Shen Wang was sent away, everything could return to normal, the Tang family peaceful and harmonious, not the chaos it had become. At this moment, in Tang's mother's eyes, Shen Wang was no longer her son, but a poor relative showing up for handouts, one she could easily dismiss with money and regain her tranquility. It was a deal too good to be true. The amount Shen Wang casually mentioned turned out to be something Tang's mother could easily afford, without even trying to negotiate. Shen Wang suddenly felt he had seriously undersold himself. "What I meant was, each of you gives me 5 million, Shen Wang quickly corrected himself, feigning surprise, showing no shame in his backpedaling. "Madam Tang, you don't really think 5 million is enough to send me away, do you? This is the Tang family we're talking about, with assets over 1 billion. 5 million might be enough for a beggar, but I am your flesh and blood, your own child." Shen Wang deeply reflected on himself, he had been too poor before and underestimated the wealth of the rich. He resolved to broaden his horizons to avoid being shortchanged in the future. Tang's father and mother simultaneously frowned, angered by Shen Wang's shameless greed. "You want 1.5 million. Just 1.5 million. The Tang family can afford that, right?" Shen Wang sneered dismissively, "I thought the Tang family was wealthy. Can't even cough up 1.5 million. Turns out it's just a facade of a rich family. Shut your mouth. Who do you think you are? Tang's father slammed his hand on the table. 1.5 million. The Tang family can afford it, but do you deserve it? As long as you can afford it, that's all that matters, Shen Wang said, looking at Tang's father with a mocking smile. 1.5 million, and I'll leave the Tang family for good, severing all ties, if you don't pay. Shen Wang pondered, what if I go to a TV station and expose the story of the true and fake young masters? Wouldn't that be sensational? Cause a social uproar. Both Tang's father and mother were extremely image-conscious, always maintaining the facade of a wealthy family. After discovering the truth about the real and fake young masters, they never publicized it and quietly brought Shen Wang back. After bringing Shen Wang back to the Tang family, they didn't even give him the status of an illegitimate child, merely saying he was an orphan kindly sponsored and adopted by Tang's father years ago. Even the servants of the Tang family, except for the butler who knew the truth, all thought Shen Wang was a poor orphan brought back by Tang's father, and they took good care of him. Nobody knew that Shen Wang, living in the servants' quarters and sharing their life, was the true young master of the Tang family. The previous Shen Wang didn't care about these things. He returned to the Tang family not for its wealth, but simply to see his parents. The current Shen Wang thought, to hell with parental affection. Some people are better not met, as it at least preserves a beautiful illusion. Hearing Shen Wang's unabashed threat, both Tang's father and mother were infuriated and breathless, while Tang Jiu, listening to their conversation, subtly lowered his head, hiding the schadenfreude in his eyes. Regardless of whether Shen Wang was useless or despicable, he always posed a hidden threat to Tang Jiu. Now, Shen Wang has sealed his own fate. Whether Shen Wang stays or leaves, Tang's father and mother won't show him any more kindness. Tang Jiu was acutely aware that his parents, Tang's father and mother, valued the family's reputation above all and detested being threatened. Shen Wang managed to step on both these landmines, and Tang Jiu had no doubt that, if possible, Tang's parents would wish they could shove this person back into the womb. After a long standoff with Shen Wang, Tang's father seemed to lose the imposing aura he honed in the business world, as Shen Wang remained carefree and mocking, as if he was the one in control. Finally, Tang's father relented. 1.5 million. Get out of the Tang family. Rather than spending time and energy reshaping an adult's character, it was easier to just pay him off, even though it was a considerable sum. Tang's father and mother acted quickly, and within minutes, a bank card containing 1.5 million was handed to Shen Wang. Shen Wang twirled the bank card between his fingers and then smiled radiantly. Mr. and Mrs. Tang, I'll donate this money to the orphanage, doing a good deed on your behalf. Tang's father's pupils contracted. What do you mean? While 1.5 million wasn't much for the Tang family, it wasn't easy to withdraw such a large sum in cash quickly. He never expected Shen Wang, who he thought was greedily seeking more, to suddenly decide to donate the money. Do you need to lie to us? Tang's mother scoffed, not believing Shen Wang would actually donate the money. Shen Wang's demeanor shifted from casual to serious, looking at Tang's father and mother as if they were strangers. You gave birth to me but never raised me. I've never benefited from you or owed you anything. We're square, and I have no filial obligations towards you. As witnessed by heaven, our blood ties and familial bonds are hereby severed, with no further entanglements. As the last word fell, thunder suddenly roared in the clear sky, echoing continuously. During his time in the Tang family, Shen Wang had always appeared nonchalant and indifferent, but no one expected his first serious and solemn act to be severing ties with his own parents. Tang's father and mother felt a pang in their hearts as they watched Shen Wang, as if they had lost something significant. As the thunder continued to rumble outside, Shen Wang remained indifferent. He politely bid farewell to Tang's father and mother. Mr. Tang, Mrs. Tang, goodbye. Leaving the Tang residence, Shen Wang's only regret was that he couldn't take the family's chef with him, reminiscing about the delicious lobster. Watching Shen Wang's retreating figure, Tang's father and mother realized something intangible had broken. From now on, they were truly strangers to Shen Wang. How could he sever the blood ties? Tang's father murmured. Blood ties are unbreakable bonds, only severable by powerful mystics at a great cost. Shen Wang was just an ordinary man unable to cultivate. How could he sever these ties without any side effects? Tang's father began to doubt the accuracy of the test that had measured Shen Wang's talents. If the test was falsified, how high could Shen Wang's potential be? Higher than Tang Jiu's. Tang's father felt conflicted. Regardless of Shen Wang's future, they could no longer benefit from him. He consoled himself, the talent test was never wrong, Shen Wang couldn't cultivate, and Tang Jiu was the family's hope. Tang's mother felt an inexplicable pang of regret, recalling that Shen Wang was the child she bore and raised for a short time, who lived outside for over 20 years, only to leave again soon after returning home. She regretted not keeping Shen Wang at home, where they could easily support him, even if he achieved nothing. How did things end up like this? Tang's mother looked towards her remaining son, hoping to find solace in him. Tang Jiu, however, missed her glance, immersed in his life of ease. Yet, he suddenly sensed a derailment in his smooth-sailing life. It felt as if his untroubled life was ending, leading to a completely different path. How could it be? Tang Jiu reassured himself, dismissing his unease about Shen Wang, a mere ordinary person, and smiled at his mother. Mother, don't be upset over someone unworthy. I will always honor you. The three Tang family members forced smiles, each lost in their own thoughts. Shen Wang left the Tang family, holding the bank card with 1.5 million in it, feeling a heart-wrenching pain. 1.5 million. The amount weighed heavily on his mind. In both the cultivation world and the modern world, the ties of blood and karmic debts are the hardest to sever. Shen Wang had never interacted with Tang's parents. He owed them for giving him life, and they owed him for not raising him. Thus, they were even, owing nothing to each other. Casually tucking the bank card into his pocket, he had brought nothing to the Tang household and left with nothing, ending things cleanly. Just as he was about to leave the villa's small garden, Shen Wang stopped in his tracks. His nose twitched slightly, detecting a faint bloody sweetness in the air, mixed with a strange and unique fragrance. Pondering over this scent, a hand suddenly pulled him behind a rockery. A slightly deep and hoarse voice whispered in his ear, "Don't shout, or I'll slit your throat." The voice wasn't particularly fierce, but it sent a chill through Shen Wang. He involuntarily shrank his neck, but it was futile, the cold blade pressed against his neck tightened with his movement. Shen Wang's gaze darkened, feeling a line of blood seeping from his neck. "Big brother, your dagger seems a bit too sharp." How about moving it away a bit? Chapter 3. The person holding him from behind ignored his comment and asked coldly, "What's your relationship with the Tang family?" Shen Wang. Shen Wang, actually, I'm the real young master of the Tang family, mistakenly taken as their child. I've just cut ties with them and left. Do you believe me? The person behind him chuckled softly, asking ambiguously, if you're the real young master, then what is Tang Jiu? If I'm the real young master, then Tang Jiu must be the false one usurping my place. Shen Wang also laughed. It seems, big brother, you have a grudge against Tang Jiu. What a coincidence, so do I. Since we are enemies of the same enemy, we should be friends. How about we sit down for tea and discuss how to get revenge? As he was muttering to himself, the man spoke again. I have a knife to your throat, aren't you afraid of me? Why should I be afraid of someone who's seriously injured and practically incapacitated? What I'm really worried about is explaining to the cops if you die in front of me. Shen Wang thought sarcastically but said aloud, I don't think you're the type to kill without reason, big brother. And since the knife is already at my throat, being scared won't help much, right? You say you're the real young master of the Tang family, do you know who Tang Jiu is? The man's sweet, bloody scent grew stronger, overwhelming the faint exotic fragrance, but his voice betrayed no emotion. Know what about him? Shen Wang was taken aback. He knew quite a bit about Tang Jiu, like his countless romantic entanglements, the various adventures he was destined for, the minor characters he had outsmarted, and some of his actions. But all that was in the future, related to metaphysics, and as a non-cultivator, Shen Wang shouldn't have known these things. After some thought, Shen Wang finally recalled something he could mention. He can't accept the Tang family's inheritance. After saying this, Shen Wang quickly added, I just overheard this. I don't know what the Tang family's inheritance actually is. Maybe it's the Tang family's company. Whether from shock or his severe injuries, the man's grip loosened. Seizing the moment, Shen Wang headbutted him fiercely. Before the man could react to the sudden attack, Shen Wang swiftly pressed a knife to his neck, knocking him unconscious. Once sure the man was completely out, Shen Wang snorted, what debt did I owe Tang Jiu in my past life? In this life, he steals my identity and now brings me danger. Shen Wang was startled to see the man lying on the ground. Dressed all in black, with not just black clothes but also a pure black evil spirit mask, his eyes were dark and menacing, creating an indescribably terrifying sight. Reaching for the man's waist to search for weapons, Shen Wang felt something wet and sticky. Lifting his hand, it was covered in fresh blood. I thought you were a crow turned into a human, dressing in black to hide the blood. Shen Wang crouched down, examining the man, and took his pulse. The pulse was weak and erratic, the spiritual energy running wild. Leaving him here could ruin his meridians, either stunting his cultivation forever and reducing him to an ordinary person, or costing him a lot of time and effort to repair his meridians, wasting precious years. Shen Wang touched his own neck, still smeared with blood. What should I do, save him or not save him? The man didn't respond, unable to do so. Holding the man's wrist, Shen Wang thoughtfully observed him. The man was covered head to toe, his age indiscernible, but his hand was delicate and fair, that of a young and pampered individual. He was still a young man. Forget it, I won't trouble the Tang family, and it wouldn't hurt to save someone, right? Although this person was Tang Jiu's enemy, wasn't that even better? Shen Wang helped the man up from the ground, his index and middle fingers together, quickly pressing several major acupoints to forcibly close his meridians, directing the rampaging spiritual energy through the proper channels. The violent rush of spiritual energy was agonizing, but the man remained silent, either unconscious or just adept at enduring pain. As an ordinary person now, Shen Wang could only help him this far. The rest was up to the man's willpower. I'll take this dagger as payment for medical expenses, Shen Wang quipped, tossing the razor-sharp dagger in his hand. He patted his behind, ready to leave. Just as he was about to stand up, he felt his hand being grabbed. Surprised, he looked down to see the man had opened his eyes. Hidden behind the ghastly mask, the man's eyes met Shen Wang's, filled with murderous intent. Unfazed by this paper tiger, Shen Wang cheerily pried the man's fingers open one by one. Oh, you're awake. Good, good. Just rest up. Since this dagger wounded me, I'll take it with me. After saying this, Shen Wang casually walked away under the man's icy glare. Watching Shen Wang's retreating figure, the man, while struggling to regulate the chaotic energy within him, swore through gritted teeth, once I fully recover, Tang Jiu will be the first I kill, and you'll be next. Unaware of the man's vow, Shen Wang wasn't concerned, even if he knew. Sea City was vast, who knew if they would ever cross paths again. Finally leaving the villa area, Shen Wang stood on the street, lamenting the lack of public transport, no subway, no buses, not even a taxi in sight. With no other option, he started walking away, never once looking back at the Tang residence. It was afternoon by the time he reached the bustling streets. He casually entered a traditional Chinese medicine store and emerged with several bags. He continued weaving through the streets, visiting various herb shops, accumulating more bags than he could carry, and depleting his savings before contentedly heading towards his destination. The Tang residence. The Tang residence briefly descended into chaos when Shen Wang left, but soon returned to its usual tranquility. In less than an hour, the ground floor servants' room where Shen Wang had been staying was cleaned spotlessly, as if he had never lived there. Within the entire Tang household, no trace of Shen Wang's existence could be found anymore. Angered by Shen Wang's cunning, Tang's parents were in no mood for their usual activities, the father had no interest in work, and the mother didn't feel like going out for shopping and beauty treatments. Tang Jiu, who seemingly should have been most eager for Shen Wang's departure, felt uneasy after he left, as if Shen Wang had taken something very important with him. Just a slumdog who dares to dictate terms with us, Tang's father brooded on the couch, his expression solemn. I have 100 ways to make him disappear without a trace. Tang's mother glanced at her husband, suggesting, he extorted and threatened us. Can we call the police and get him arrested? That way, we can get our money back and make him disappear too. Do you think I haven't thought of that? Tang's father retorted irritably, once arrested, who knows what he might blurt out to the public. Do we still care about the Tang family's reputation? For a moment, the vast Tang household was at a loss on how to deal with a powerless, poor youngster. If only he wasn't our biological child. Tang's mother mumbled, if only Jiu was our biological child, we wouldn't have to face these complications. This remark struck Tang Jiu like lightning. He suddenly realized what he had overlooked. The Tang family, being a mystical clan, tested the aptitude of each child at a young age. Those with the ability to cultivate were vigorously trained to become the true core members of the Tang family. Peripheral members, regardless of their wealth or achievements, were never privy to the deepest secrets of the Tang family. The Tang family's enduring legacy was based on a special inheritance. Only the direct bloodline could inherit this legacy. Tang Jiu, possessing decent cultivation talent, had always struggled to receive the family's inheritance, thinking it was due to a lack of luck or fate. But now, he realized the stark truth: he wasn't of Tang blood and therefore couldn't possibly be acknowledged by the family inheritance. The true heir of the Tang family had already left the household. Facing his parents, Tang Jiu pondered and then asked, "Father, if Shen Wang, who can't cultivate, could still receive the family inheritance?" Without a second thought, Tang's father responded, "Of course not." Tang Jiu's heart raced as he understood why he felt a sense of loss. Calming his voice, he revealed, "I can't inherit because I am not your biological child." What if the blood flowing in me is truly yours and mother's? A sharp glint flashed in Tang's father's eyes, but he remained silent. Puzzled, Tang's mother inquired, "Can the blood in one's body be changed?" "How?" A despised biological child, grown up in an orphanage, unfamiliar with anyone influential, living at the bottom of society, whose disappearance would go unnoticed. In contrast, the Tang family could overshadow the skies of Sea City. Seemingly powerful and glorious, the Tang family was insignificant in the mystical realm. But now, an opportunity arose to elevate the family's status, albeit at the expense of a biological child they didn't favor. Tang Jiu, with his eyes closed, already knew the decision his parents would make. As expected, after a few seconds of contemplation, Tang's father stated, "If sacrificing him benefits the Tang family, it's the only useful thing he could do for us." Tang's mother also grasped the implication of the blood exchange. She opened her mouth to speak, then merely said, "It's just a blood exchange, he might not die. If he's lucky enough to survive, we'll continue to provide for him." Tang Jiu was indifferent to Shen Wang's fate. He had an intuition that by seizing Shen Wang's familial bloodline, he would soar to unparalleled heights, revered by all. Imagining that scenario filled Tang Jiu with such excitement that his blood seemed to boil. Chapter 4. Sea City University, one of the best in the city, was always bustling with vibrant college students dressed fashionably and full of vigor. Everyone who passed couldn't help but turn to look at one person. He appeared to be in his early 20s, dressed simply in a white t-shirt and jeans, which only accentuated his clean aura and striking looks. His height, over 1.8 meters, made him stand out in the crowd. However, the numerous plastic bags he carried slightly marred his overall demeanor, adding a touch of groundedness to his appearance. Li Pingping hurried from the dormitory to the university gate, and without much effort, spotted the person she was looking for. As a group of girls walked past her, Li Pingping overheard their conversation. "Who is that guy? Is he from our school?" "Impossible, such a handsome senior would definitely be on the confession wall, but I've never seen his name." "Maybe he's here waiting for his girlfriend." As expected, all the good-looking guys are already taken. "He looks so melancholic. Could he be an artist?" Li Pingping couldn't help but feel exasperated. She had always known that Shen Wang, despite his rough personality, had an impressive presence. However, she hadn't expected that in just a few days, his aura seemed to have become even more striking. "Shen," Li Pingping suppressed her urge to tease, approaching and patting Shen Wang on the shoulder. Just as Shen Wang was pulling something out of his pocket, Li Pingping's pat caused his hand to twitch, and the object he was holding fluttered down, blown by the wind into a box a few steps away. Shen Wang and Li Pingping exchanged glances, then simultaneously turned their attention to the box. The street violinist, grateful for their inadvertent contribution, smiled at them and played with renewed vigor. Li Pingping. Shen Wang. Li Pingping looked at the money in the box, then at the young face of the street performer. "Shen, how much did you drop?" Shen Wang, 10 yuan. Li Pingping breathed a sigh of relief. "It's not much, maybe just let it be. He's an art student from our school, doing a performance art piece." Before Li Pingping could finish her sentence, she watched in disbelief as Shen Wang walked up, crouched down, and deftly picked out a 10 yuan note from the box with his thumb and forefinger. The onlookers, who had just been admiring Shen Wang's good looks, were stunned into silence. The street musician couldn't maintain his enthusiastic smile, and his violin playing turned mournful. He dryly remarked, "Brother, isn't it a bit unfair what you're doing?" "I didn't intend to give you money, it fell in by accident," Shen Wang explained calmly. "Judging by your full forehead and thick earlobes, you come from a well-off family. You don't need these 10 yuan. Having said that, Shen Wang, ignoring the strange looks from the crowd, walked straight to Li Pingping and handed him most of the items he was holding. "Let's go to your dormitory." Li Pingping, who had been unremarkable since enrollment, suddenly found himself the center of attention, making his back heat up and his cheeks flush. He quickly lowered his head and, taking big strides with Shen Wang, quickly left the scene. Only after leaving all the gazes behind, did Li Pingping sigh in relief. "Shen, weren't you supposed to go back to your wealthy family and be a young master? Why are you still so frugal? Snatching back 10 yuan from someone, really? This was my money to begin with. If you hadn't startled me, I wouldn't have dropped it." Shen Wang glanced at him. "That 10 yuan is all I have to my name now." "Huh." Li Pingping looked bewildered. "Didn't you find your biological parents? Aren't they rich?" Shen Wang snorted softly, nonchalantly saying, "I've severed ties with them." Li Pingping was shocked. "They kicked you out of the house?" "No," Shen Wang languidly curved his lips. "I was the one who severed ties with them." Shen Wang spoke these words calmly, a calmness as if he never had any expectations. Shen Wang and Li Pingping came from the same orphanage. Besides them, there was a younger sister, Lu Yu, who had just come of age. Among the three, Shen Wang was the eldest brother. After escaping the orphanage, it was all thanks to Shen Wang's efforts in earning money that he raised his younger siblings and sent them to university. To his siblings, Shen Wang was both a brother and a father figure, their pillar of strength. In reality, Shen Wang was only a few years older than them. In a normal family, someone his age would probably still be enjoying his youth in college. When Li Pingping and others learned that Shen Wang's biological parents had found him, their initial reaction was happiness for Shen Wang. Knowing about the Tang family's distinguished background, they were genuinely thrilled for him. It wasn't because Shen Wang's biological parents were wealthy, but simply the happiness for Shen having 2 more family members, and the joy for his potential for a better life in the future. Unexpectedly, just a few days later, Shen Wang returned. Li Pingping felt conflicted. He hesitated, wanting to pat Shen Wang's shoulder to comfort him. But his hands were full, so he could only offer verbal consolation. Shen, blood relations aren't as important as the time spent together. If I suddenly had a biological brother, I wouldn't recognize him either. You're the only brother I acknowledge. Shen Wang looked up, expressionless. The couple probably thought the same. Li Pingping. Clearing his throat, Li Pingping changed the subject. Shen, what did you buy? All these bags. Let me see. Ginseng, Scutularia, deer antler, cistanche, cordyceps. Li Pingping gasped. Shen, what have you been up to these past half a month? You haven't become impotent, have you? Shen Wang almost laughed in exasperation, his previously somber mood instantly vanishing. Keep talking nonsense, and believe it or not, I'll sew your mouth shut. Then why did you buy these herbs? They're not cheap, are they? I spent all my savings on these, Shen Wang smiled. Now, all I have is 10 yuan. Ping, you'll have to support me from now on. Li Pingping. Li Pingping had a lot of questions, but after holding back for a long time and turning red, he only managed to say, I only have a little over 2,000 on me, should I transfer it to you? How do you have so much money? Now Shen Wang was genuinely surprised. He gave them a little over 1,000 for living expenses each month. In his mind, his siblings' allowance was just enough for food, even a bit tight. Shen Wang never expected Li Pingping could save some private money. He mulled it over and thought maybe he gave too much for living expenses, considering reducing it. Seeing Shen Wang's thoughts, Li Pingping said with a pained expression, this is what I earn from part-time jobs during my free time. Li Pingping was embarrassed to say he actually wanted to buy a gift for Shen Wang, but transferring the money directly would serve the same purpose. As the 2 brothers chatted, they arrived at Li Pingping's dormitory. It was a 4-person room, but only 3 were living there, leaving 1 bed empty. With no money for a hotel and unwilling to sleep on the streets, Shen Wang eyed the vacant bed. Li Pingping's roommates had seen Shen Wang a few times and were impressed by his outstanding looks. Hearing that he would stay for a few days, they not only had no objections but warmly welcomed him. Shen, feel free to stay. The bed's empty anyway, and no one's using it. As they spoke, the last roommate entered, announcing excitedly, guys. I'm no longer single. The girl I've been chatting with online finally agreed to date me. The dormitory erupted into cheers and hulls after a few minutes of silence. Way to go, old Wang. You're the first in our dorm to get a girlfriend. You owe us a treat. Do you have a photo of her? Let us see what our sister-in-law looks like. Amidst the cheerful atmosphere, Shen Wang frowned slightly. Old Wang, I don't think your girlfriend is reliable. Wang Kai, who was beaming a moment ago, stiffened. Shen, although it's an online relationship, we've spoken on the phone and video called. It's the modern era, an online relationship is just a way to meet someone. Shen, you're not that old, why are you skeptical about online dating like the older generation? The other 2 roommates quickly tried to smooth things over. Sorry, old Wang. My brother didn't mean any harm. He's just a worrywart. Shen, maybe you shouldn't say things like that. It's not very nice. It's not about that. Shen Wang paused for a few seconds. Your forehead is dark, and your face looks dim. Not the appearance of someone excited about love, but more like you're about to suffer financial loss. That girlfriend of yours is probably a scammer. Isn't that a reasonable thing to say? Wang Kai, a young university student with his pride hurt, clenched his fists and stepped forward, wanting to grab Shen Wang by the collar. What the hell do you mean by that? Li Pingping couldn't let Shen Wang be bullied, stepping forward with his thin chest puffed out. Wang Kai. Calm down. My brother didn't mean it, he's just blunt, no bad intentions. How can you say he has no bad intentions when he talks about my girlfriend like that? Amidst the chaos, Shen Wang clicked his tongue lightly. Li Pingping, stop interfering, or you'll bring disaster upon yourself. Just as he finished speaking, Wang Kai accidentally knocked something over. A crisp crackling sound froze everyone, their emotions running high. Li Pingping clutched his foot, wailing in pain as blood quickly seeped from his foot, crying out, damn it, hurry up and take me to the infirmary. Shen Wang shook his head helplessly, making such a fuss over nothing. It's just a minor injury, no need to panic. Li Pingping's forehead was slightly gray with a barely noticeable drop of red. According to Shen Wang's knowledge of physiognomy, even if it was a blood disaster, it was still just a minor injury. But the others didn't hear Shen Wang's words, panicking as they prepared to take Li Pingping to the infirmary. Shen Wang, fine, but it's not necessary. Chapter 5. Seeing the trouble he had caused, Wang Kai panicked, hoisting Li Pingping on his back and rushing out, with their roommate Suqing following, helping to support Li Pingping as they jogged. Watching their frantic and hurried actions, Shen Wang shook his head resignedly, took his time to put away his belongings, and then followed them with long strides. At the infirmary, just as Shen Wang expected, after wiping away the intimidating blood, Li Pingping had only suffered a scrape. During the application of medicine, Li Pingping howled in pain, making Wang Kai feel even more guilty. He firmly held him down to stop him from struggling, turning his head away, unable to bear watching. Turning around, Wang Kai saw the instigator of the incident, Shen Wang, had taken out his phone and started recording. Truly like a real brother. Wang Kai's gaze at Shen Wang was tinged with dissatisfaction. If it weren't for Shen Wang's baseless comments about his girlfriend, he wouldn't have lashed out, Li Pingping wouldn't have gotten hurt, and yet here was Shen Wang, cheerfully playing with his phone. Shen Wang, oblivious to Wang Kai's expression, replayed the video of Li Pingping's howling several times before sending it to the close-knit family group chat with a grin. His younger sister, Lu Yu, probably in class, didn't respond. Shen Wang wasn't bothered and put away his phone. The school doctor, a man nearing 50, quickly tended to Li Pingping's wound. After adjusting his glasses, he advised, it's nothing serious. Keep the wound dry for the next few days, avoid strenuous exercise, and stay away from spicy and greasy food. The others nodded incessantly like pecking chickens, almost ready to jot down the instructions. Okay, thank you, doctor, Shen Wang said simply, then turned to Wang Kai. Wang Kai. Shen Wang was taken aback, aren't you going to pay the medical fee? Wang Kai finally realized, hastily pulling out his phone, I don't have cash on me. Can I scan a code to pay? Meanwhile, Shen Wang, along with Li Pingping, had already made a swift exit. Their other roommate, Su Cheng, supporting the hopping Li Pingping, hesitated, leaving him alone in the infirmary. Is that okay? He caused my brother to get hurt. I'm already letting him off easy by not making him pay for more, Shen Wang snorted. It's just a medical fee. Li Pingping seemed to want to say something but held back. He could only think it was fortunate that he was the one injured and a student at Sea City University. If Shen Wang had been the one hurt, he would have laid on the spot until he received a satisfactory amount. In that sense, Shen Wang was indeed more lenient with his roommate. Su Cheng looked back towards the infirmary and couldn't help asking, Shen, why did you say his girlfriend is a scammer? Coming from a rural background, unlike city dweller Wang Kai, Su Cheng had an open mind towards some unscientific phenomena, adhering to the belief, better to believe than not. He had even seen spirit mediums in the countryside. Although he thought most of these mediums were charlatans, he still harbored some doubts. Today, hearing Shen Wang mention things like darkening of the forehead and fluttering heart of love, Su Cheng felt something was off, especially since right after Shen Wang mentioned a blood disaster for Li Pingping in the dorm, Li Pingping got injured. These series of events instilled a sense of awe in Su Cheng towards Shen Wang. I can read faces. Shen Wang turned to Su Cheng, looking at your face, you had a poor childhood, a destitute youth, and a major crisis at 20. If you overcome it, you'll live a peaceful life. You may not be rich, but you'll have an ordinary and happy life. Su Cheng's heart skipped a beat, swallowing hard, and if I don't overcome it. If not, you'll die. Shen Wang's casual words turned Su Cheng's face pale. Li Pingping was both annoyed and amused, lightly punching Shen Wang on the shoulder. Bro, why joke about such things with him? He's timid and believes in these mysterious things. After saying this, Li Pingping explained to Su Cheng, old Su, don't listen to him. He doesn't know anything about this stuff, he's just messing with you. Li Pingping knew Shen Wang well, they grew up together and he had never seen Shen interested in metaphysics. He must be bluffing. However, Li Pingping was puzzled. Shen Wang had never shown interest in such matters before, so why bring up metaphysical topics today? Hearing Li Pingping's words, Shen Wang just smiled and stayed silent. Su Cheng's complexion gradually regained color, and he smiled awkwardly. Sorry, I took it too seriously. Despite Li Pingping's reassurance, Su Cheng stole glances at Shen Wang's profile, feeling uneasy. He had just turned 20 this year, and his family's financial situation was indeed poor. Maybe Li Pingping told his brother about it. Su Cheng consoled himself. Shen Wang. What are you doing here? A surprised voice drew their attention. Looking towards the source of the sound. A few young men dressed in clothes emblazoned with prominent designer logos approached. The leader, dressed casually, had every hair meticulously styled. His features weren't extraordinarily handsome, but he carried an imposing and refined demeanor, akin to a budding coal tycoon. However, his aura, built on wealth, seemed overly contrived in front of Shen Wang, who was only dressed in street market clothes. Just with his face alone, Shen Wang already had the upper hand. Are you also a student at this university? The newcomer lifted his chin, seemingly curious, then realized, I forgot, you didn't even get into college. Are you here to experience the university atmosphere? Facing Yu Caoyang's blatant hostility, Shen Wang mockingly imitated his pretentious tone. I was wondering who it was. It turns out to be Tang Jiu's lapdog and sycophant. The Tang family publicly claimed they had sponsored Shen Wang's upbringing, but apart from a few people inside the Tang family, no one knew the truth. Living in the Tang household under questionable circumstances, many believed Shen Wang was Tang father's illegitimate child, back to claim his share of the inheritance, competing with the rightful heir Tang Jiu. Consequently, most wealthy heirs disliked him. Among them, Yu Caoyang's dislike for Shen Wang was particularly evident. Shen Wang rarely saw outsiders at the Tang household. Yu Caoyang, the young master of the Yu family, was also Tang Jiu's close friend and had free access to the Tang residence. Every time he visited the Tang house and saw Shen Wang, Yu Caoyang inevitably ridiculed and mocked him, which had become a habit. You. Being called a lackey and sycophant, Yu Caoyang's face flushed with anger. Jiu and I have been playmates since childhood, true childhood friends. Do you even understand what friendship is? Shen Wang stroked his chin, pondered for a few seconds, and then laughed. Indeed, I don't understand your friendship. Oh, wrong, I don't understand the world of flatterers. Yu Caoyang repeatedly claimed his and Tang Jiu's friendship since childhood, asserting they were close childhood friends, but in reality, Tang Jiu never really cared about him. As a cultivator, Tang Jiu considered himself above ordinary people, indifferent to not just Yu Caoyang, but everyone else. Yet, Yu Caoyang was foolishly oblivious to Tang Jiu's indifference, persistently seeking his attention. In the story, Tang Jiu incurs the wrath of Gu Dongting, the most powerful figure in the narrative, nearly bankrupting the Tang family. Despite his parents' objections, Yu Caoyang went to great lengths to help Tang Jiu, providing him with the means to turn his fortunes around. Sadly, Shen Wang looked at Yu Caoyang with pity. Unfortunately, after Tang Jiu's turnaround, he only remembered the women who helped him, completely forgetting his childhood friend Yu Caoyang. Eventually, the Yu family went bankrupt due to a financial crisis, and Yu Caoyang's whereabouts became unknown. If Tang Jiu's story is a male-oriented power fantasy, then Yu Caoyang's is a tragic tale of a devoted but unrewarded follower. Shen Wang, I know you're jealous of Jiu, Yu Caoyang said furiously, yet he started to laugh. He looked at Shen Wang triumphantly, chest puffed out like a rooster. No matter your relationship with Uncle Tang, the true heir of the Tang family is and will always be Jiu. No matter how hard you try or how jealous you are, it's all in vain. Ah yes, 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 what's true can never become false, and what's false will always remain so, Shen Wang nodded repeatedly. I said this, make sure to tell this to your close friend. Is this an admission of defeat? Shen Wang easily agreed with his own words, leaving Yu Caoyang feeling hollow even in his victory. He had verbally sparred with Shen Wang countless times before, always ending in defeat. This was his first triumph. Yu Caoyang restrained his inner excitement, mimicking Tang Jiu's usual cold and arrogant demeanor. I will definitely pass your message to him. Shen Wang looked at Yu Caoyang with pity. Believe me, he will be very happy to hear it. Before knowing the original plot, Shen Wang had been targeted by Yucailiang countless times. He once suspected that the seemingly dim-witted rich second generation was playing dumb, but now it seems he overestimated Yucailiang's intelligence. A real pig indeed, the kind that would be completely devoured by a tiger. Shen Wang couldn't be bothered to argue with him and kindly advised, you better stay away from Tang Jiu. You're not that bright to begin with, be careful not to get used and end up counting money for him. With Yucailiang's intellect, his usual provocations were child's play. After being rebuffed once, twice, thrice, he still stubbornly went to the Tang house to provoke. It wasn't a conspiracy theory from Shen Wang, but if Tang Jiu wasn't behind this, he'd perform a sword-swallowing act right there. Hearing the word money, Yucailiang seemed to recall something and hurriedly asked, I heard you left the Tang house with 15 million. Uncle and Aunt Tang kindly took you in, and you extorted them. Aren't you afraid they'll call the police? Not afraid at all. Shen Wang was very calm, that 15 million, I'll donate to the orphanage, do good deeds on their behalf, accumulate some karma to avoid suffering in the animal realm after death. Yucailiang, who had a belly full of questions, was speechless at this response, forgetting to consider Shen Wang's indirect insult towards Tang's parents, stammering, you're going to donate all that 15 million. Is that a problem? Shen Wang raised an eyebrow, if there's nothing else, Mr. Yu, could you please make way? Yucailiang stepped aside subconsciously, looking at Shen Wang with a mix of admiration and awe, 15 million, just like that, donated. Even I can't bear to do it, but he did. What a man. A follower who had witnessed the entire exchange behind Yucailiang grimaced, Brother Yu, weren't we here to cause trouble? How come you were easily fooled in just a few words, and almost convinced to switch sides? If Brother Jiu finds out, he'll surely deal with you covertly. Yucailiang, oblivious to his followers' worries, kept admiring, if he wasn't Uncle Tang's illegitimate son, with that boldness, he could even match Brother Jiu, they would definitely become friends. The follower, unable to bear watching, averted his gaze, friends who consider whether to electrocute or throw bricks first if you fall into water. Chapter 6. Back in the dormitory, Li Pingping hesitated to speak, then stopped, and then hesitated again. After this back and forth, Shen Wang felt tired for him and said irritably, what do you want to say? Just say it, I'm not going to kill you. Since Shen Wang put it that way, Li Pingping immediately took a deep breath and blurted out, Brother Shen, are you really going to donate the 15 million? Hearing the keyword, 15 million, Su Qing also perked up his ears, his eyes blazing as he looked at Shen Wang. Under the intense gaze of the two, Shen Wang casually crushed a Chinese herb with his bare hands, dropped it into a cup, and handed it to Li Pingping. What, you can't bear to part with it? Li Pingping gasped in surprise, you're really donating it? That's 15 million. Li Pingping had never seen so much money before, and might never see it in his lifetime. He numbly took the cup, his entire face crinkling, at least take it out, let me feast my eyes on it before you donate it. 15 million stacked together, what a magnificent sight. Li Pingping drank the water in the cup in sorrow and frustration. Seeing Li Pingping's reaction, a hint of amusement appeared in Shen Wang's eyes. Although Li Pingping might never earn 15 million in his life, knowing that Shen Wang had so much yet chose to donate it, he didn't question or try to stop him, nor did he feel resentful or unwilling. The child is just not bright, but thankfully he is kind-hearted and values loyalty and righteousness. Raising him wasn't in vain. Shen Wang felt very gratified. The next second, Li Pingping suddenly widened his eyes, retched, and collapsed to his knees. Help, help. Water. Give me water. Su Qing was startled and hurriedly handed a cup of water to Li Pingping. Old Li, what's wrong? You can't die, old Li. Shen Wang looked at the cup in his hand and then at the painfully grimacing Li Pingping, tasting a sip in confusion. I didn't mix up the medicine. After gulping down several mouthfuls of plain water, which finally diluted the strange taste of sour, sweet, bitter, spicy, and salty in his mouth, Li Pingping felt as if he had regained his life. But having drunk too much water, he couldn't help but burp and started retching crazily again. The already strange and hard-to-drink flavor, after coming back up from his stomach, was like a mix of Ganges water, nuclear wastewater, and swamp sewage, sour yet spicy, spicy yet bitter, with a nauseatingly sweet undertone. Ugh. Li Pingping, propping himself on the trash bin with tears in his eyes, looked up, Brother Shen, what have I done to deserve this from you? Shen Wang was dumbfounded. He drank the water in his cup, tasting it carefully, and confirmed again, this is the medicinal water I prepared for you. It's not poisonous at all and should help your wound heal quickly. Li Pingping looked in horror as Shen Wang finished the water of life. He couldn't help but start throwing up again, but despite retching for a long time, he couldn't bring anything up, only that despairing taste kept coming back. Ungrateful brat. Shen Wang rolled his eyes, too lazy to deal with this drama queen, and began processing the Chinese herbs he had spent all his money on. During his time in the cultivation world, Shen Wang had received a powerful inheritance and embarked on the path of alchemy. Many masters, far superior in cultivation, respected him deeply, offering fortunes for his pills. Thus, Shen Wang only bestowed his pills based on affinity and mood. Now, he had freely made a medicinal drink for Li Pingping, but instead of being grateful, the latter showed such an attitude. If Li Pingping weren't his brother, Shen Wang would surely let him taste what real poison is like. Recalling the various events in the cultivation world, Shen Wang still felt somewhat like Zhuangzi dreaming of a butterfly, yet he knew those were real experiences. Because the peculiar and powerful inheritance still existed in his mind. The mysterious Jade Immortal Tome. With a thought, a book shimmering in golden light appeared in Shen Wang's mind, significantly thinner than before. Flipping through it, there were only a few pages left, all containing medicinal formulas for ordinary people's health and healing. In the cultivation world, Shen Wang had begun his cultivation journey. The immortal tome he saw then contained not only formulas for mortals but also pill recipes suitable for his level. Only upon reaching a certain level would the corresponding pill recipes be unlocked. Lost in thought, Shen Wang's hands moved effortlessly, fluid like drifting clouds and flowing water. If observed closely, one might even notice a peculiar rhythm in his movements. In the cultivation world, Shen Wang's spiritual root aptitude was not impressive, and he had spent countless spiritual materials and effort to break through. Returning to his own body, he sadly found that his current spiritual root aptitude was even worse than in the cultivation world. Gold, wood, water, fire, earth, all 5 spiritual roots were present but weak, making his already poor aptitude harder to advance, especially in the modern world with its scarce spiritual energy. Shen Wang finished preparing the herbs, stuffed them roughly into a cup, and gulped it down. Worry. Such worry. Truly worrisome. Li Pingping watched him down the drink as if it had no taste, muttering to himself, now I believe you didn't mean to harm me. Seeing how ruthless he was even to himself, Li Pingping was convinced. Su Cheng's expression was also indescribable. He hadn't even drunk it, merely smelling a bit from Li Pingping's mouth made him want to vomit. He couldn't believe Shen Wang could drink so much without a change in expression. Exchanging glances with Li Pingping, Su Cheng also had doubts. These herbs usually required boiling or long steeping. Shen Wang just tossed them into the cup for less than 3 minutes, how could the taste be so strong? He didn't add any other seasoning, did he? Su Cheng was utterly baffled. After drinking a cup of herbal potion, Shen Wang turned around to see 2 pairs of eyes filled with fear and admiration. He raised an eyebrow in confusion, do you want to drink too? No, 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 no. This is something you should enjoy alone, brother Shen. Watching the 2 frantically shake their heads and wave their hands, Shen Wang felt disdainful, even if you want it, I won't let you have it. These were just ordinary Chinese medicines, with almost negligible effects. If it weren't for Shen Wang's special techniques to activate their minimal potency, drinking more would have been pointless. But ordinary as they were indeed expensive. Shen Wang wouldn't have bought this junk if it weren't for his marrow cleansing needs. Sparing a little for Li Pingping was already a testament to his deep brotherly affection. At that moment, Wang Kai, left behind by them, also returned to the dormitory. As soon as he stepped in, he frowned, what the hell is that smell? Shen Wang. Maybe it's the smell of money, Shen Wang said calmly. Wang Kai was puzzled, but he didn't care and just smiled proudly, Shen Wang, didn't you say my girlfriend is a scammer? As everyone's attention focused on him, Wang Kai opened his phone to show them a blurred photo of a student ID from another university in the city. The photo showed a girl with delicate features, long hair, and a quiet, obedient appearance. The girl in the photo had delicate features, long hair over her shoulders, and looked quiet and obedient. Just now, she sent me her student ID and her ID photo. With this, do you still think she's a scammer? Wang Kai looked at the girl in the photo, forgetting his anger at Shen Wang, and chuckled foolishly. It's often said that online romance often leads to online scams. Wang Kai had lowered his expectations for his girlfriend's looks, but he never expected she would far exceed his expectations. And her student ID and ID photos are exactly the same. A girl whose ID photo is that beautiful must be gorgeous in real life. I've hit the jackpot, Wang Kai thought. Shen Wang looked at him pityingly and asked, she gave you all her personal information without asking for anything in return. Huh. Wang Kai was startled, then looked at Shen Wang unhappily, what do you mean? Her father had a car accident, and they couldn't afford the surgery, so she borrowed some money from me. But she gave me all her identity information, I could find her at her school anytime if I wanted. Not just Shen Wang, but even Li Pingping and Su Cheng felt something was off upon hearing this. Su Cheng cautiously asked, how much money did you lend her? Not much, Wang Kai said defensively, what are you implying? She's my girlfriend. I've told you, she could never deceive me. She even gave me her identity information. Shen Wang sighed deeply, having seen foolish people, but never someone this foolish, even more than Li Pingping, being scammed and still counting money for the scammer. Why don't you try calling your girlfriend first? See if you can get through, Shen Wang suggested helplessly. Angered by the look that seemed to consider him an idiot, Wang Kai immediately grabbed his phone to call his girlfriend, what do you mean? I'll call her right now. If she answers, you owe me an apology and call me Dad. Shen Wang watched him calmly, call her first. Even if she doesn't answer, I won't be calling you Dad. Better report to the police. I saw his forehead turning green just now, indicating a minor loss of wealth, but now, it's turned even greener, not only indicating a major financial loss but also a serious problem. Shen Wang couldn't even bear to look at him directly, so tragic was his state. Wang Kai dialed the number, and within a few seconds, the call was answered. He gave Shen Wang a triumphant look, then spoke to his girlfriend, hello. Xiao Jing. How's your dad? About the money I lent you. Before he could finish, the call was disconnected from the other end. Wang Kai's remaining words were stuck in his throat. He looked at Shen Wang, refusing to believe it, and kept redialing, but no matter how many times he called or texted, there was no response. After sending over a dozen messages, Wang Kai discovered in horror that a large red exclamation mark had appeared in his chat window. The message had been sent, but it was rejected by the recipient. You are not friends yet. Please send a friend request first. Li Pingping, unable to bear Wang Kai's expression, patted his shoulder, old Wang, maybe you should report this to the police first. At this point, the truth of the matter was crystal clear. Wang Kai held his phone, looking lost. He had chatted with his girlfriend for nearly a month, finding perfect alignment in everything from aesthetics to hobbies, even in gaming. During this time, he had come to regard her as his soulmate, grateful for meeting such a wonderful girl. Wang Kai, a tall man over 6 feet, his eyes gradually reddening, stammered, how could this happen? We were getting along so well. Shen Wang, standing aside with his arms crossed, added, have you ever heard a saying? Wang Kai looked at Shen Wang with reddened eyes. The ones who understand men the best are other men, Shen Wang said with a meaningful look in his eyes. Wang Kai. Li Pingping. Su Cheng. Wang Kai burst into tears, crying like a pump. Shen Wang, taking pleasure in his misfortune, laughed out loud and even thought about taking another photo with his phone. Chapter 7. From Wang Kai's heartbroken words, the others learned that he had transferred all his savings to his girlfriend, a sum of 100,000. Shen Wang, who only had $10 to his name. Li Pingping and Su Cheng, equally poor. They couldn't understand the world of the wealthy. The group immediately went to the police station near the school to report the incident. The police officers were very calm and professional, offering Wang Kai a glass of water to help soothe his emotions. Wang Kai's face flushed red as he held the cup of water, muttering in shame, this was the money I saved over many years by living frugally, even my parents didn't know. 20 years of frugality, gone to a scammer in an instant. One of the male police officers, both amused and exasperated, couldn't help but admonish, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Always think twice and consider, does someone as pretty and nice as her even need to resort to online dating? In reality, loads of guys are lining up to chase after her. Did you really think she'd choose you? Wang Kai nodded meekly, resembling a primary school student scolded by a teacher, trembling and despondent. After recording Wang Kai's situation, the short-haired female officer concluded, you should brace yourself. These professional scam rings often operate from abroad. Once your money is transferred to their account, it's split into dozens of other accounts within minutes, making it hard to trace and recover. Wang Kai's eyes reddened again. His family was indeed well off, but being just a student, he didn't get much pocket money from his parents. The money he lost was accumulated over the years from New Year's cash gifts and various red envelopes. The hardship of saving it was known only to him. Now, the money he painstakingly saved up had all gone to that damned swindler. If it weren't for the many police officers watching, Wang Kai would have burst into tears right there and then. The short-haired policewoman shook her head and consoled, consider it a costly lesson. Be more careful in the future. Always verify before transferring money to someone, especially online acquaintances. Avoid large monetary dealings with them. It's best to download the National Anti-Fraud app to check the identity of unknown persons or accounts. Leaving the police station, Wang Kai was disheartened. With the app strongly recommended by the short-haired policewoman on his phone, and having lost 100,000 yuan, he felt so depressed that he wanted to cry, or find a secluded spot to bury himself in. He looked so pitiful that Li Pingping couldn't bear it. Old Wang, think positively. It's only possibly irretrievable. What if the swindler you encountered is a novice, not part of a syndicate? Wang Kai gave Li Pingping a listless glance, continuing to stare at his toes as he walked back to the dorm. As his roommate for so long, there was a bond. Seeing him like this, Su Cheng also felt uneasy. You knew what this could lead to, why did you even start? Shen Gu had already warned you. At this, Su Cheng's eyes lit up, suddenly turning to Shen Wang. Shen Gu, you're so capable, can you help old Wang? He's just a bit straightforward, but a really upright guy, you know. Though previously rebuffed by Wang Kai, Shen Wang, not one to hold grudges, thought for a moment and said, Li Pingping is right. The swindler you encountered doesn't seem to be part of a syndicate, so there's a high chance your money can be recovered. Wang Kai, who had been downcast since knowing the truth, suddenly looked up, hope shining in his dim eyes. Really? Believe it or not. Shen Wang, who bore no grudges, smiled amiably. Li Pingping. Why would you provoke him of all people? Wang Kai froze, then remembered that from the beginning, Shen Wang had said his girlfriend was a scammer, but he hadn't believed it at the time. He had even transferred all his money to his girlfriend in a huff, trying to prove she wasn't a scammer after she asked to borrow money. After a few seconds of hesitation, Wang Kai's voice trembled. Shen Gu, I was wrong before. You were trying to help me, and I was too blind to see your good intentions, mistaking your kindness for malice. I'm sorry, Shen Gu. Hearing Wang Kai's apology, Shen Wang's smile became more genuine. He calculated with his fingers, the one who scammed you is indeed a novice, a man in his 30s, single, lazy, and idle. He pretended to be a woman just for more attention in the game. Before this, he had only scammed small amounts, but this was the first time he got his hands on such a large sum. Everyone present saw Shen Wang's finger twiddling, and they all widened their eyes in surprise. Wang Kai looked at Li Pingping. Is your brother kidding me? I'm already in such a bad state, and he's still playing tricks on me. That's not very nice, is it? Su Cheng also looked at Li Pingping. So much for saying your brother doesn't know metaphysics. Only Li Pingping was completely clueless. Since when did my brother learn such street swindling? Wasn't he always the one who despised these kinds of deceitful tricks? I was wondering why your face looked so green. Shen Wang sighed, his gaze on Wang Kai filled with pity. Wang Kai's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly asked, what's happening, Shen Gu? You can recover your money, at least a part of it. Shen Wang shared his calculations honestly. That guy is broke, single for years, and when he saw so much money for the first time, he immediately withdrew it to splurge, in the red light district, you know. Wang Kai understood, and not just him, everyone present got it. It was really tragic. His girlfriend took his money and spent it on prostitutes. Wang Kai immediately felt his forehead glowing green with rage, trembling with anger. Shen Gu. Help me, Shen Gu. Wang Kai, a city boy, never believed in superstitions, but this time he was so angry he lost his wits and didn't doubt Shen Wang's words. Just thinking about his hard-earned money being swindled for such purposes, Wang Kai wished he could smash the scammer's head, making him regret ever pretending to be a woman to deceive others. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Wang Kai blurted out, Shen Gu, if you can help me get my money back and teach that scammer a lesson, I'll give you 10% commission. Shen Wang, who was about to say, the police will help you recover it, was speechless. Seeing Shen Wang spaced out and silent for a long time, Wang Kai realized his blunder and felt terribly ashamed. He had actually tried to hire Shen Gu for a mere 10,000 yuan, a sum too trivial for Shen Gu. Wang Kai gritted his teeth and added, 10,000 is indeed too little, how about 20%? 20,000 yuan. No sooner had the words left his mouth than Shen Wang immediately asked, are you serious about this? Wang Kai couldn't tell if it was just his imagination, but he felt that at that moment, Shen Ji's eyes sparkled unusually. Wang Kai nodded vigorously, a gentleman's word is his bond. As long as you, Shen Gu, can help me recover the scammed money and teach that swindler a lesson, 20,000 yuan, I will not go back on my word. Deal. 20,000 for the service, no backing out. Li Pingping watched the unfolding events in shock. He steadied Wang Kai's trembling, excited hand, and forgetting his injured foot, briskly pulled Shen Wang aside. Brother, Wang had a disagreement with you before, but he's in such a bad state now. Please let it go for my sake, and considering we'll still be roommates for 2 more years. Shen Wang. Shen Wang, do you really see me as someone who must retaliate against anyone I've had a disagreement with? Li Pingping with a firm gaze, aren't you? I am so magnanimous. Shen Wang gave Li Pingping a knock on the head, annoyed, that swindler has already withdrawn the money to splurge in the city. By the time the police solve the case, most of it will be gone. Only about 10 to 20,000 can be recovered. Your roommate is giving me 10 to 20,000, and if we recover 80,000, he still comes out ahead. Li Pingping, holding his head, became even more confused. Weren't you just bluffing him? With time pressing, Shen Wang gave Li Pingping, who didn't believe him, a glare and walked over to Wang Kai, taking his phone. Wang Kai felt inexplicably nervous, heart fluttering. He carefully brought up the scammer's number. He's already blocked me, Shen Go, look. Shen Wang glanced at it and sent a text from his own phone. Wang Daqiang, male, 39 years old. When you were 8, your mother left and never returned. At 15, your father drowned after a drinking accident. For the past 20 years, you've been alone, living off manual labor. At 35, you met your first love, but you despised her for being older and divorced with a daughter, driving her away. You've been single ever since. Wang Daqiang had just gotten off a car when he received this message from an unknown number. He had unexpectedly come into a large sum of money. Unable to contain his excitement, he immediately hired a car to the city, determined to fully enjoy life. The first step in enjoying life was to find a woman and relax. Wang Daqiang smiled exceptionally happily. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined he would have 100,000 yuan. This money would make those who looked down on him respect him, and those women who scorned him admire him. With a ding-dong, another text message arrived on the phone. That woman was the only romance in your life. Miss her, and you'll end up wifeless, childless, and alone for the rest of your days. Damn, that's bad luck, Wang Daqiang spat. He had no choice before, only that woman in her 40s, ugly and with a child, would look at him. But now things are different, he has 100,000 yuan. As long as he has money, what kind of woman can't he find? Muttering to himself about blocking the number, Wang Daqiang grumbled, who the hell is this, cursing me to be wifeless and childless, to die alone. Bullshit. I'll marry a virgin, have a chubby son, no, too. Just then, a third text message arrived. This year marks the turning point of your fate. You will be sentenced to 8 years for fraud, and after release, continue to live on odd jobs. At 55, you'll develop Parkinson's and languish for nearly a decade, dying at 69. Lonely, sick, and dying alone in your home, that will be your final fate. Wang Daqiang's hands trembled slightly. He could dismiss the earlier messages as leaked information or a prank by someone he knew, but these last 2 messages had him thoroughly panicked. When idle, Wang Daqiang often played games, and once he realized female characters got preferential treatment, it was like unlocking some hidden potential. In the game, he was a girl in a pink dress, called Little Sister by men, who once wouldn't spare him a glance. College students would chase after him, sending milk tea and snacks, some even sending red envelopes with 520 or 1314. The biggest sucker was a guy he'd recently met, who eagerly transferred him 100,000 yuan. After receiving the money, Wang Daqiang immediately blocked the naive college student. Disturbed and confused, Wang Daqiang didn't even notice that the stranger was texting, not calling. He hurriedly replied to the last message, how can it be fraud if it's consensual? He gave it to me willingly. That doesn't count as scamming. With a ding-dong, as if the sender had heard Wang Daqiang's words, another message came through. Turn right, then left. Enter the first door you see. This is your last chance to change your life. Wang Daqiang clutched his phone tightly, looking around. To the left was the place he wanted to visit, a place he had heard his friends boast about many times. To the right. People passed by without giving him a second glance, but Wang Daqiang felt a chill down his spine. Swallowing hard, he stepped towards the right. Turn right, then left, the first door. Wang Daqiang mindlessly followed the instructions in the text message. Sir, do you need any help? A man in a police uniform sat at the front desk, his demeanor exuding righteousness. In the blue and white hall, Wang Daqiang's legs gave way, and he collapsed to his knees. The police officer exchanged a look with his colleague, both wary. Chapter 8. Wang Kai, Li Pingping, and Su Cheng watched Shen Wang send a few texts and then do nothing more, all of them wearing skeptical expressions. Shen Wang pocketed his phone and looked up to meet 3 pairs of curious eyes. Puzzled, he said, what are you staring at? Let's go, back to the dorm. Wang Kai, that's it. Shen Wang was also puzzled, what else? Did you expect me to personally catch the scammer? That would be a different price. Wang Kai was momentarily speechless. He now deeply felt that he had somehow absurdly believed Shen Wang's tall tales, as if he had been bewitched. The other 2 exchanged a glance, not daring to speak further. Fuming inside, Wang Kai kicked at the ground on his way back to the dormitory. Sitting on his bed, his anger subsided significantly, comforting himself internally, at least this time he was only played, not scammed out of money, no financial loss. Li Pingping deeply sympathized with Wang Kai's plight but felt powerless to help. From childhood, Shen Wang was known for his vengeful nature. In the orphanage, he was the child no one dared to provoke, appearing sweet and delicate but in reality, a devil in angel's clothing. If other kids bullied him, he would fight back even at the cost of getting hurt. If anyone dared to steal his food, he would sneak sand into their meals every day. Fortunately, Shen Wang was not only vengeful but also deeply loyal and protective. If he acknowledged someone as his younger sibling, he would go to great lengths to shield them. Some detested this trait, but for most kids, it was undeniably cool, akin to the righteous bandits in TV dramas. Regrettably, throughout his life, there were only a couple of people Shen Wang acknowledged as his younger siblings. Recalling the past, Li Pingping puffed out his chest, approaching Shen Wang who was busy with something. Brother, I've transferred 2,000 yuan to you. I can earn money now, so you don't need to give me living expenses anymore. Thanks, Pingu, you're so generous. Shen Wang put down what he was holding, checked the transfer on his phone, indeed seeing a 2,000 yuan increase, and patted Li Pingping's head. Brother is broke now. Once we recover your roommate's money, I'll have some. Li Pingping, you're still thinking about his service fee. Isn't that obvious? It's 20,000. Shen Wang said with frustration, you don't want me to give him a discount, do you? You're my brother, but why do you always side with others? I can give him a 1% discount at most, no more. Li Pingping, it's not about giving him a discount. Li Pingping, forget it, never mind, as long as you're happy. Shen Wang looked puzzled at Li Pingping's weary figure. If it's not about the discount, then what is it? Children grow up and have their own secrets. Unable to pry further, Shen Wang could only reflect internally, feeling a hint of warmth only when he saw the record of the 2,000 yuan transfer. Li Pingping has 2,000 yuan in savings, does little you have any? Shen Wang pondered, but couldn't bring himself to ask his sister, who wasn't even 18 yet, for money, so he sighed in regret. Turning his attention back to the medicinal herbs, Shen Wang's expression became calm and serious again. To embark on the path of cultivation, one must purify the body, cleansing most worldly impurities to attract spiritual energy. If the body harbors too much impurity, cultivation becomes inefficient and risks the dangers of demonic possession or deviation. In the world of cultivation, there were numerous methods for purification, including spiritual liquids, pills, medicinal meals, and even bathing elixirs. Even slightly wealthy mortals could afford these for strengthening their bodies. However, the modern world, unlike the resource-rich cultivation realm, had scant spiritual energy and few spiritual plants. Even if they existed, Shen Wang couldn't afford them now. Unable to use spiritual plants for purification, Shen Wang had to rely on quantity over quality, extracting every possible medicinal property through special techniques to create a crude purification liquid. Multiple applications should still be effective. And this pile of Chinese medicinal herbs, which had cost all of Shen Wang's savings, was just enough for the first course of the purification liquid. So poor. Shen Wang looked at the dark purification liquid, downed it in one gulp like a shot of liquor, his demeanor exuding resolve and melancholy. I really need to find a way to make money. But Shen Wang quickly realized his plight: no education, no skills. The methods to make quick, big money were all written in the criminal code. Lying down on the bed Li Pingping had made for him, Shen Wang gazed at the old dormitory fan, musing to himself, how can I quickly make a large sum of money? Su Qing curiously asked, Shen Ge, how much money do you need? Not much, just several hundred million or so. Shen Wang estimated. The purification liquid was just the threshold to cultivation, there would be many more elixirs needed later on. What about a breakthrough pill for leveling up? A tranquility pill for stabilizing the mind? An experience pill for doubling cultivation efforts? All of these required raw materials, all needed money. Li Pingping gasped, Shen Ge, what do you need all that money for? Shen Wang glanced at Li Pingping, saying irritably, why are you asking so many questions, kid? Go to sleep. No, brother, Li Pingping only managed to utter a few words before he saw Shen Wang closing his eyes, and then gradually his breathing became even and calm, leaving him feeling utterly drained. You fell asleep, how do you expect me to sleep now? Su Cheng, witnessing Shen Wang's transition from closing his eyes to falling asleep, admired genuinely, your brother's ability to fall asleep instantly is awesome. The next day, Shen Wang woke up to a chorus of exclamations. Whoa, that's amazing, Li, your wound was bleeding so much yesterday, and it's all healed today. What kind of constitution do you have? Are you China's Superman or something, with incredible healing powers? I don't know, I usually heal at a normal rate. I don't understand why it's so fast this time. Amidst the noisy chatter, Shen Wang noticed it was already bright outside the window. Looking at the time, it was already past 9. Sitting up and stretching comfortably, Shen Wang rubbed his arm, scraping off a small strip of dirt. The purification liquid made from ordinary medicinal herbs was effective, but not extraordinarily so. Had it been a fully functional purification pill, his whole body would have been covered in dirt by the second day, expelling most of the impurities, and requiring only 1 or 2 more doses to completely cleanse his body. But the homemade liquid Shen Wang used showed little change overnight, only long-term use could match the effect of one purification pill. Even though he knew this, Shen Wang couldn't help but feel a bit down for a few seconds. Shen Ge, you're awake, Li Pingping was the first to notice Shen Wang's awakening. He pointed at the 2 meat buns and a tea egg on the table, breakfast is already bought. Shen Wang, feeling somewhat glum, went to wash up. Passing by the still astonished Wang Kai and Su Cheng, he commented, stop with the wild guesses. Ping is not a superhero, nor was he healed by kind-hearted aliens in the night. It's the medicine I gave him yesterday that worked. Li Pingping. Su Cheng. Wang Kai. Wang Kai, what medicine? Which pharmaceutical company's product is so miraculous that it can heal a wound overnight? Remembering the taste of the medicine he drank yesterday, Li Pingping had a complex expression that was a traditional Chinese medicine concoction made by Shen Ge himself. Su Cheng also remembered the strange taste of the peculiar medicine, his expression turning odd as well. Li, your Shen Ge is really a hidden master, isn't he? Hidden master, nothing. He was just messing with you. Wang Kai didn't believe a bit of it, waving his hand dismissively, especially frustrated recalling how Shen Wang had made a fool of him yesterday. Just then, Wang Kai's phone suddenly rang with an unfamiliar landline number, and he answered with confusion. Hello, is this Wang Kai? I'm calling from the Public Security Bureau of Sea City University. You reported a case of fraud yesterday involving a loss of 100,000 yuan. The perpetrator has now surrendered, and we've recovered your money in full. We need you to come and verify it. Hearing what the caller said, Wang Kai became instantly furious. Damn, are you scammers targeting only me? You even know I was cheated out of 100,000 and still have the nerve to call me. Do you scammers have no conscience? How can you do such despicable things? Aren't you afraid of divine retribution? I'm telling you, justice is extensive and inescapable. The police will eventually bring you to justice. After venting his anger, Wang Kai hung up the phone, feeling surprisingly refreshed. Li Pingping and Su Cheng applauded him. Way to go, old Wang. Awesome. That's how you deal with scammers. As the mood was heating up, Wang Kai's phone rang again, with the same number as before. Hey, this scammer dares to call back. About to continue his tirade after picking up, Shen Wang, who had just finished washing up, came out and saw Wang Kai, saying, it's not a scammer. It's actually the police. The person who scammed your money has surrendered, and your money has been recovered. Wang Kai, about to unleash another tirade on the phone, paused, and a voice sounding somewhat amused came through the line. Wang Kai, I'm not a scammer. I'm the officer who took your statement yesterday. If you're free today, just come to the bureau. After hanging up, Wang Kai, still in shock, asked Su Cheng, was he in the bathroom when he called just now? Yes. The soundproofing in our restroom is good, right? Yes. How did he hear the voice on the phone then? Wang Kai was puzzled and felt that delving deeper might shatter his worldview. Shen Wang, not interested in joining the commotion this time, stayed back, leaving only Li Pingping and Su Cheng to accompany Wang Kai to the police station. As they approached the entrance, the trio hesitated, finding the claim made over the phone too absurd to not suspect a scam. Are you Wang Kai? While they were still in doubt, someone had already noticed them and started to greet them in an oddly enthusiastic manner. Following that greeting, a group of policemen in uniform emerged from inside, all eyes fixed on Wang Kai and his companions. Are you Wang Kai? Which one of you is Shen Wang? Shen Gu, he didn't come. Wang Kai, surrounded by a group of police officers, felt a chill despite being a law-abiding citizen who never even ran a red light. Help, this feels like the perspective of a thief or a rat. Wang Kai sent a pleading look to his roommates, and following his gaze, the police also surrounded Li Pingping and Su Cheng. Li Pingping. Su Cheng. It was hard not to curse internally. After being escorted inside, the trio realized they had been surprised too soon. When they heard that the scammer had surrendered out of fear caused by a few text messages, they were too numb to make any more exaggerated expressions. They could only look at each other with numb expressions, finally all turning their eyes to Li Pingping. What kind of deity is your Shen Gu, really? Chapter 9. In the police station, Li Pingping and the others heard a convoluted and incredible story. From how the scammer started his fraudulent path, to being terrified into surrendering by a few text messages, and even becoming a devout believer, convinced that gods watch from 3 feet above. While still in shock, the police enthusiastically shared photos of those text messages with Li Pingping and the others. Looking at the messages in the photos, Wang Kai swallowed hard. So, is everything mentioned in these texts true? That's the most baffling part. The police, also astonished by the messages, continued, we investigated. The owner of this number, Shen Wang, has no known connections with the suspect, Wang Daqiang. They haven't met online either. How did Shen Wang identify a stranger from 1,000 miles away? And without leaving any trace, baffling our information technology department. It couldn't really have been predicted through fortune-telling, could it? The police officer joked after finishing his explanation. Li Pingping and his friends, not daring to respond, obediently followed the procedures. Wang Kai also recovered his scammed money, the full 100,000 yuan. As the police were seeing them out, they continued, normally, it takes at least a month for recovered funds to be processed and returned to the victim. This case is extraordinarily strange, even the speed of resolution was unusually fast. Another officer added, it's a pity we didn't get to meet Shen Wang in person. If we had, perhaps I could have discovered something. Leaving in a daze, only after distancing themselves from the police station did Li Pingping and the others start to exclaim in hushed tones. Damn. Damn, damn. Li Pingping, your brother is so incredible, and you never told us. To be honest, until today, I had no idea he was so amazing. The three, like country bumpkins seeing the big city for the first time, excitedly chattered all the way back to the dormitory. Upon entering, they saw Shen Wang resting on his bed and immediately swarmed around him. Shen Wang felt a sudden darkness as 3 men crowded around his bed, blocking all the light. He frowned, about to ask them to move aside. Shen Gu. How did you find out all that information about Wang Daqiang? Shen Gu, your fortune-telling skills are incredible. Can you do it for me too, to see when I'll become rich? Bro, why didn't you tell us earlier that you could do this? The combined chatter of the 3 men was as overwhelming as 30 barking dogs. Shen Wang rubbed his temples, sat up on the bed, and demanded, stop. Speak one at a time. And step back a bit, don't block my sunlight. The still excited trio reluctantly reined in their enthusiasm and stood back, gazing eagerly at Shen Wang. You first. Shen Wang pointed to Wang Kai, Wang Daqiang has surrendered. Did you get your money back? It's back. Wang Kai nodded vigorously, his face red with excitement. Shen Gu, how did you find out all those details about Wang Daqiang? Just knew it, Shen Wang replied nonchalantly, then squinting at Wang Kai, so, about my 20,000 yuan service fee, aren't you going to pay me? It was as if a bucket of cold water had been thrown over the excited trio, leaving them feeling suddenly chilled and deflated. The vague image of Shen Wang as a wise sage they had constructed on the way back instantly collapsed. Wang Kai's mouth twitched, and he directly transferred 20,000 yuan to Shen Wang. Here's your hard-earned fee, Shen Gu. Although he didn't understand how sending a few text messages could be considered hard work. Seeing his account increase by another 20,000, Shen Wang felt pleased, his voice softening considerably. Next, who has a question? Su Cheng, nervously rubbing his hands when called upon, asked, Shen Gu, can you tell me when I'll become rich? Shen Wang glanced at him, striking it rich overnight. That's never going to happen in your lifetime. But you have a chance to be an ordinary, hard-working member of society. Neither rich nor noble, but also without major upheavals. A peaceful and warm life isn't so bad. Su Cheng felt a small sense of relief hearing this. But before he could fully exhale, Shen Wang continued. That is, if you can successfully overcome a major life crisis at the age of 20. It was true. Su Cheng turned pale. He had always felt that Shen Wang was no ordinary person, his words not entirely believed, yet not entirely doubted. Realizing that Shen Wang was serious, Su Cheng felt a sense of resolution. His lips colorless, but his eyes shone with determination. Shen Gu, do you think I can be saved? Shen Wang observed Su Cheng's face for several long minutes, making even the onlooking Li Pingping and Wang Kai nervous, with Su Cheng almost at his breaking point. Suddenly, Su Cheng spoke up, Shen Gu, I'm not as rich as Wang Kai, but I can save and manage to give you 2,000 as a gratitude fee. 2,000 yuan might be insignificant for Wang Kai, but for Su Cheng, it was more than a month's living expenses. Do I look like someone obsessed with money? Shen Wang withdrew his gaze, pondering for a few seconds, then said, your situation is complicated. I can't make a judgment right now. If nothing goes wrong, I might need to visit your hometown. With Shen Wang's words, Su Cheng felt a huge weight lifted off his shoulders. Believe in Shen Gu, and I will live. Su Cheng was convinced beyond doubt. Shen Wang himself hesitated. Su Cheng's impending crisis seemed complicated, a faint aura of ghostly energy entwined around his brows, almost imperceptible unless closely observed. As a pre-cultivator who hadn't undergone marrow cleansing, getting involved in such supernatural affairs seemed like delivering himself to a ghost. But then, Shen Wang considered the 20,000 yuan in his pocket and calculated how soon he could complete the marrow cleansing and officially begin cultivation. As long as he quickly absorbed spiritual energy and entered the path, no demons or ghosts would pose a problem. Shen Wang felt he could make an extra effort, earning 2,000 yuan just for a visit seemed too good an opportunity to pass up. After briefly answering a few more questions from the curious group and casually dismissing Li Pingping, Shen Wang sat cross-legged on his bed, trying to sense the spiritual energy of the world. To cultivate, one needs marrow-cleansing liquid; to make it, one needs raw materials; to buy materials, one needs money; and to make money, one must be strong enough to catch ghosts. Shen Wang, abandoning his previous laziness, began to practice cultivation seriously. As the dorm finally quieted down, Wang Kai suddenly leaped up from his bed, raging furiously, "Damn! Damn, damn, damn!" Under the puzzled gazes of the others, Wang Kai bitterly shared a post from the university's official website to their dorm group. Li Pingping, puzzled, read it aloud: "Male university student falls prey to a female gamer, spends 100,000 only to realize it's a scam. A cautionary tale for fellow students." Just the headline alone was enough to cause social death. Reading the article, Li Pingping couldn't help but sigh and shake his head. "Old Wang, if only you had listened to Shen Gu earlier, would this have happened?" Recently, a student from the XXTH batch of the management department, Wang, met a miss in a game. Charmed by her beauty and sweet voice, he fell head over heels and eventually won her over, only to find out after transferring money that the miss was actually a middle-aged man in disguise. "We urge everyone to take Wang's case as a warning. Be cautious in online chats. Online relationships are unreliable." The comments below were all laughing. "This pixelation is so thin it's almost non-existent. Wang, you might as well drop out of school. So tragic, not just scammed for money, but also socially doomed. Rest in peace, life will pass by swiftly." As Li Pingping was amusingly reading through the comments, he noticed someone had posted a photo. It was a large red banner with bold white letters. XX Business School student Wang scammed for 100,000 yuan in online romance. Beware of internet fraud. The environment in the photo looked familiar. Peering out the window, Li Pingping realized it was indeed the school's main route to the dormitories, the busiest path. At that moment, the three roommates fell silent, with both Li Pingping and Suqing eventually patting Wang Kai on the shoulder. "You see, you should have listened to Shen the Great earlier. Congratulations, Wang. You've become a legend in our school forever." Wang Kai lay on his bed, a picture of despair. "If I could travel through time, I'd go back to yesterday immediately, kneel before Shen the Great as soon as I saw him, and beg him to save my sorry life. Unfortunately, life doesn't offer do-overs, just like the never-ending social death." To spare Wang Kai's feelings, Li Pingping and Suqing barely left the dormitory for several days, except for classes. They thought staying in would shield them from odd looks, but visitors seeking Wang Kai kept coming incessantly. Writing, to see. Reading, to see a joke. After several visits, Wang Kai had grown accustomed to acting as if nothing had happened, as if it all never existed. That evening, just before lights out, someone knocked on their dormitory door again. Wang Kai, thoroughly annoyed, yanked the door open. "Can't you get enough? It's okay to laugh once or twice, but mocking me every day." Surprisingly, it wasn't Wang Kai's usual tormentors outside, but a classmate from the neighboring dormitory. The guy, holding a pillow, smiled awkwardly. "Bro Wang, isn't there a spare bed in your room? Can I stay in your dorm for a bit?" Wang Kai was taken aback. "Our dorm bed is already occupied. Did you have a fight with your roommate?" The guy shook his head, hesitating. "Not exactly." Wang Kai asked, puzzled, "Then why do you suddenly want to stay here?" The guy hesitated for a moment, then leaned in close to Wang Kai and whispered, "You might not believe it, but I suspect someone in our dorm is possessed." Possessed. Wang Kai instinctively turned to look at Shen Wang, who was meditating on his bed. "Well, that's no big deal. Just drive the evil spirit away." The boy. Chapter 10. In just a few days, Wang Kai, a staunch believer in science and a male college student, not only opened the door to a new world but also became Shen Wang's #1 fanboy. His reluctance to leave the dormitory was partly due to social death, and partly due to an itching curiosity about Shen Wang. After a series of idiotic questions like, "Do ghosts exist in this world? Can you see ghosts? Can you predict when I'll get a girlfriend?" Shen Wang had manually blocked out Wang Kai's voice. With no one to share his thoughts, Wang Kai resorted to spamming the dormitory group chat. Hearing someone mention metaphysical matters, he immediately perked up and warmly invited the boy into the dormitory. The boy, somewhat bewildered, was pulled into the dormitory, and before he could even sit, Wang Kai urged, "What happened? Tell us." After hesitating for a while, the boy couldn't hold back any longer and spilled the beans. It turned out, with midterms approaching, there was a student in his dorm who usually failed exams. Recently, he had become obsessed with studying, forgoing games and social outings, and burying himself in books day and night. "Scary, isn't it?" the boy said, seeking validation from his audience after sharing. "Is that all?" Li Pingping and Suqing, who had gathered around unknowingly, were genuinely perplexed, their heads filled with question marks. "Aren't you being too sensitive? Maybe he just realized he needs to start working hard. This is normal before a big exam. It'll be fine once the exams are over. No need to make a big fuss." Provoked by these words, the boy sat up abruptly from the bed, gesticulating wildly. "You know his personality. He's the type to barely scrape by, always half-hearted in his studies. Even during final exams, he's inconsistent, spending his days gaming or watching anime. But now, he's studying from morning to night. Apart from eating and bathroom breaks, it's all studying." The boy emphasized, "Wakes up at 5 in the morning, sleeps at 2 at night." Those who initially thought the boy was overreacting, like Wang Kai and his friends, gasped in shock. "Wakes up at 5 in the morning. It's terrifying. This is indeed strange." Seeing that he had convinced everyone, the boy's mood finally relaxed. He hugged his pillow tightly and whispered softly, "And also." "And also what?" The others, intrigued by his mysterious manner, pressed him for more. "And also, now when he sleeps, he doesn't snore, grind his teeth, or talk in his sleep, like something else entirely." The boy didn't dare say that when he woke up in the middle of the night, he saw his roommate, who usually slept in an unrestrained manner, now sleeping rigidly straight, hands peacefully placed on his abdomen, with the blanket perfectly smooth over his chest. The scariest part was, there was no movement in his roommate's chest. The first time he encountered this, the boy was so scared he almost called an ambulance, but after a while, exactly at 5 o'clock, his roommate suddenly opened his eyes and sat up stiffly from the bed. And started reviewing again. Since that day, the boy began to secretly observe his roommate, unable to resist checking his chest in the middle of the night, even stealthily checking his breathing while he slept. Not being medically trained, the boy couldn't discern anything wrong. All he knew was that not only was there no movement in his roommate's chest, there was also no warmth under his nose. Yet the next day, he would see his roommate diligently reviewing. Study as if it won't kill you. Originally a motivational slogan for students, it had become a literal description of his roommate. Over these few days, the other people in the dorm had become almost mentally exhausted, moving out one after another, leaving only the boy whose home was far away, with nowhere to go but to seek refuge in Wang Kai's dorm. After listening to the boy's account, Wang Kai, Li Pingping, and the other two broke out in a cold sweat. They looked at each other and finally turned their gazes towards Shen Wang, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed. Shen brother. Help. Confused, the boy looked at 3 grown men sobbing and rushing towards Shen Wang's bed. Who is this? Although they were from the neighboring dorm, the boy had never seen Shen Wang and was curious. This is. Li Pingping hesitated for a few seconds. Wang Kai smoothly took over. This is a senior from the upper grades. Just call him Brother Shen. Oh, so it's Brother Shen, the boy realized. I must have heard of Brother Shen, just never met him. Li Pingping turned his head slightly, unable to suppress a laugh. Shen Wang, seemingly absorbed in meditation, had actually been alert to his surroundings, hearing the entire ordeal that left Li Pingping and the others trembling in fear. Amused and slightly exasperated, Shen Wang ceased his cultivation and opened his eyes to see 3 pairs of pitiful eyes and one unfamiliar face filled with confusion and partial understanding. Shen Wang. Brother Shen, how is your cultivation going? Wang Kai asked eagerly, massaging Shen Wang's leg. Brother Shen, are your legs numb? Let me massage them for you. Get lost, Shen Wang laughed and scolded, turning his attention to the unfamiliar boy. Upon a closer look, Shen Wang couldn't help but narrow his eyes, sensing the hard-earned trace of spiritual energy within him stirring restlessly. Over the past few days, Shen Wang had exhausted his savings to buy traditional Chinese medicine and completed the first course of treatment, removing a third of the impurities in his body, barely reaching the threshold for cultivation. After a long effort to connect with the sparse spiritual energy around him, Shen Wang finally managed to capture a wisp of spiritual energy and introduce it into his body, officially becoming a cultivator, though still just a novice who hadn't even reached the qi condensation stage. It took several days to successfully draw the spirit into his body, making Shen Wang acutely aware of his poor aptitude. In the world of true cultivation, it had taken him less than an hour to accomplish the same feat. What Shen Wang didn't know was how many in the cultivation world remained stuck at this initial stage, unable to ever begin their cultivation journey. He also didn't realize that even in the cultivation world, completing this step in under an hour was considered a mark of genius. In the modern world, where spiritual energy is scarce, drawing the spirit into the body not only requires months of preparation, various elixirs, and miraculous medicines, but also the guidance of a senior cultivator to help novices capture the spiritual energy. Shen Wang managed to do it in just a few days with some mediocre Chinese medicine. If cultivators of this world knew, they would be astonished. Now, ignorant of other cultivators, Shen Wang had only gathered a wisp of spiritual energy. When he saw a faint ghostly aura on the face of the boy who claimed his roommate was possessed, he felt an itch to act. Brother Shen, his roommate. He's not really possessed, is he? Li Pingping noticed Shen Wang's unusual gaze and rubbed his arms anxiously. It's not exactly possession, Shen Wang said. Everyone else in the room visibly relaxed in unison. It's just a ghost taking over his body, Shen Wang continued. The breath stuck in their throats, the people present started coughing violently, squeezing closer to Shen Wang like frightened quails. The boy who came for help was especially panicked, his voice trembling with a crying tone. I told you he must be possessed. With his personality, he could never be that diligent. What do I do now? He was so anxious that his regional accent slipped through. Shen Wang, with a profound and inscrutable expression, said solemnly, you can come to me for fortune-telling, ghost-catching, and demon hunting. I know it all, I'm skilled in everything. And I offer sincere pricing, excellent value for money, truly worth your trust. The boy. He looked at Li Pingping and the others surrounding Shen Wang, then at Shen Wang's handsome face with a hint of bewitching charm, and suddenly felt like he might have been swindled.